Okay, so we are into the, maybe technically speaking, the final screening of the film festival in this screen, with the exception of Hexagon, which is going to have like an omnibus edition in a little while. And we have just seen Black Chariot by the lovely folks from Hex. Let's do the introductions, starting with yourself, Mr. Brewster.
Hi there, I'm the director and writer, Lawrie Brewster.
Hi, I'm Megan Tremethick and I play Nell.
I'm Dorian Todd and I play Dorian McCurr.
I'm Novarro Ramon and I play Tony Novak.
I'm Sam Mcmillan and I play Samuel Baxter.
Hello, I'm Callum Alexander Wright and I just play one of the police constables.
Constable 3, yes.
Number 6 actually.
When you watch Black Chariot, anybody who knows horror will undoubtedly feel you're paying homage to several films. Was there any specific films in your mind that were inspirational in the creation of this one?
Yes, and a lot of those influences do tend to be subconscious. I love classic cinema, I love a lot of modern cinema as well, and I feel there's something lost in the storytelling from films produced in generations ago, and in performance, and in earnestness and sincerity, especially emotional earnestness. And that is kind of what I'm like. I'm just a little bit of an eccentric old soul, really. So I don't cosplay being a vintage filmmaker. It's just kind of just how it ends up anyway. But that said, obviously there are influences. I am the mere sum of better films and influences. One of them is Carnival of Souls, and I've always been a great fan of Korean and Japanese horror cinema as well. I feel that there is a little bit of, F.W. Murnau, German Expressionism is there as well. And when you're working with like Lawrence or Harvey, it's always something of Peter Lawrie about him, and in his character there's something of M there. I would say that,
And I think for me, Carnival of Souls was the one that really shone through. And I think Peter as well also said something similar. So thank you for that, because it's one of our favourite films, so any kind of homage is lovely, subconscious or, or other. From the films that we have seen at Romford Film Festival and Romford Horror Festival, the wonderful thing about this one is it's almost entirely based outside. Do you want to talk to us about some of the interesting factors during your shoot with working so much outside? Because, presumably it's shot slightly north of Romford, slightly north of the border, and, we're in a place where weather is not always your friend.
Yes, and I'm sure everyone here can testify that the elements are always a formidable challenge with filming in Scotland. And with a production that is like this, the cinematography and the technical elements are all big challenges, because we're illuminating the forest at night, so there are many, many lights all placed around the forest, and with the wind and mosquitoes, believe it or not, as well, and all those elements. It was a real challenge, because you have a big team. We're making an ambitious film. At least technically, with all the people and anything God and nature has to throw at you, yes, it does. it's maybe not quite as terrifying as filming in the Arctic, but Scotland, you can use your imagination. You can just imagine what it's like filming in Scotland. And especially for Meg. I mean, Megan had scenes where she was just getting hit with rain and storms and things like that whilst wearing her dress. She's a real boss. All of them are. Yeah.
I think for me, one of the most striking scenes is the point where Meg is looking through the window, and I think that's like, I thought that was like really haunting. So well done. But I would assume not an easy shot to make, because you know you're in an unusual angle. Any little anecdotes about that scene?
I'd love to have let Meg talk about her process with the ghost, but I will say from the technical standpoint of filming it, we love cinematography, but the most important thing is to try and capture the exciting forms of expression that our performers are doing. And so, as much as possible, rather than try to constrain the performances to the technical requirement, we give ourselves the added challenge on camera to be more flexible. And this is precisely because, for example, when Megan is being this spirit, she transforms into this, and she will not necessarily hear mortal direction when she becomes.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I really loved being the ghost, well, Nell, and getting to collaborate with Lawrie and discuss her physicality, because obviously this role is very, very much about physicality and in the performance. So it was just lots of preparation beforehand, really, talking with Lawrie, both of us coming up with ideas. I can't remember which one of us it was, but it was just established that now she is dead, she's kind of now blind. And I really liked that. I found that really unsettling. I love the thought of this blind... Oh, it was me. Okay, cool. I love the thought of this blind ghost kind of reaching out, and I never wanted to look at whoever my prey was. But that car scene, I think from what I remember of it, they set up the shot, Michael and the team, Michael Brewster, the cinematographer, and they just kind of let me go at it, really, from each side of the car, but I would do the whole action every time. And yeah, I really liked getting to do that, rather than just, okay, now you're just going to do one tap at the window. I felt like it gave me a lot more time to just sort of be in the character and experiment and try stuff. So yeah, really grateful for that.
And then another really haunting scene, which for me, I can only think of the Long Good Friday, is where Lawrence is going past in the car, and it's like he's doing his Helen Mirren moment, but the look on his face is amazing. What's it like to work with Lawrence? He's not here today, so we can talk about him.
I think Dorian would be great to answer that.
Alright, so I'm answering this for some reason. Yeah, I mean, every single time, this is obviously one of the films that Lawrence is featured in of ours, and every single time, I mean, for me as a performer, it's just excellent to see him do such varying material, and he's so lovely on set. This was the first time, so this was a few years ago we began this one, and I mean, as you know, there's so many productions that come in, and we had so much to focus on, which is why it was so long ago, so we're having to kind of reach back in our memories. But for me, it was the first film with these guys as well, and going out with this ambitious production in the woods, and facing the elements, and then having Lawrence as your co-star was, I mean, I think all of us, right? It was a bit intimidating, and he was so warm, he was so funny, you could joke with him, you could have just any conversation about kind of anything. So it was really nice to just, I mean, he's just such a lovely guy to work with, despite all the horrific things I'm sure you've seen him do on screen. Like, he's just amazing. So yeah, that's what I've got to say about him.
And always one of my, and I think probably so I can get over to audience questions. One of my favourite questions to ask, but I think I'm going to start with Sam. Favourite scene of the shoot?
I think genuinely it would be the last scene I had with Meg. That was our first day back after the break, wasn't it? So it was the exciting challenge of getting back into the character, but it was also the daunting challenge of everything that scene required emotionally. So I think for those reasons that has to be my absolute favourite.
Killing Meg. No, that was
Yeah.
no, I think it was just like the car scene because like it was an ensemble, so everyone was there. So I just remember really liking that and
First scene.
yeah, the first scene. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it's tricky. There's so much that I really love, and getting to see all the stuff of you guys, just like when it's your solo moments. It's a really tricky one. I do fondly remember the last scene of my character with the case, which is it's an intimate end, and it's really, when I saw with the music there, actually, I have not probably seen it with audio yet, and I really got the full hit of it, I think. But I also really, really love when we have Tony at gunpoint, and the gun doesn't go off. I think it's such a perfect moment. Like that scene encapsulates all three characters, I think, really, really well. And I think that moment where the tension builds, then breaks, and Tony revels in it, I think is so excellent. I think it's absolutely amazing. So, one of those two.
Cool.
I think my favourite scene is probably another scene with you, Sam. It's kind of earlier, a pretty climactic moment in the film where we share a moment together, my final moment, and it was pretty grim because I was just in the mud, but you really brought so much amazing energy, and even though I was kind of, soaking wet in the mud, I feel like we connected and shared a moment, and so yeah, thank you so much for bringing that, because it would have been really hard to do that scene if you didn't bring so much, so thank you.
One question I didn't ask, when exactly were you shooting this? What time of year? And you mentioned earlier on about, coming back from the break. What was that break period?
Well, basically it was shot sometimes in the summer, and then there were some pickups in the winter as well. So giving us all the wonderful challenges, mosquitoes in the summer, and then terrifying cold winds in the winter. And those elements were necessary sometimes to create a different mood for the forest. Because the way the lighting and everything would look, you can see the dappled shade of lighting during the kind of summer months, and it has a particular character. And then for the more intensely noir or even German expressionist-like qualities for the very horror gothic elements, that was more kind of sometimes wintry, where the leaves were not there so much.
Cool. Okay, so our wonderful friends at Studio Canal have given us some fantastic Blu-rays of a classic film. Not as classic as Carnival of Souls, but it is The Fog, the John Carpenter version. So, the first 5 questions will receive this Blu-ray.
My question is, it was shot in black and white, which I think really suited it. That's a great decision. When you first had the idea, Lawrie, did you want to make it in black and white immediately, or did that come later?
Yes, it was always envisaged as black and white, I think because that fitted the noir and and German expressionist influences. I mean, sometimes just for fun, we played with color grades just to see what it looked like, and it did sometimes have a kind of a cool, almost New Hollywood, kind of early 70s look, with some of the vintage post-production film color grades you could do. But we had to keep true to our guns, and yeah, I only saw it in black and white.
I always think that's quite interesting when people shoot in black and white and then frequently reference colour, because you know there's all that conversation about the red light. You know, like, but obviously we don't see the red light, we see a shade. So I always think that's quite interesting that people do that. So yeah, thank you. Next question.
Hello. Hi, it sounds like you often work on projects together, and this is my introduction into Hex Studios and everything. I just wanted to ask you, what is next?
Well, Hex Studios is one component of what's called the British Horror Studio, and we're all involved in all the components. Hex Studios, I guess you could say, do our more medium, slightly higher budget films, you know, relative to the B team, which is Megan and Paul William Kelly, who's here, company which works with us, that does these experimental, more kind of unusual wild films. Spoiling You is another example of a Hex film, and the B team's first film was Mr. Whispers, that's screened here today. At the moment, we have 8 feature films in post right now, which is partly because we need more nerds on computers to help us, not because and we're looking for new productions. We're at the moment looking at an adaptation of the Gothic short story The Yellow Wallpaper, which would be written and directed by Sarah Daly, my business partner at Hex, can't be here with me this evening. And we're also looking, as if this isn't a crowded enough arena, at an adaptation of Wuthering Heights as well, which would have a much stronger Gothic, romantic character. Gosh, and there's more. There's a film right now being directed by Dorian Todd called Meow for the B team, which, if you love VHS lo-fi and like the kind of Tim and Eric kind of energy, but though it's not sometimes funny, it's very scary, then that's something. And to be honest, that's just scratching the surface, isn't it? There's probably already there's such a community around us that there's projects almost developing with some autonomy, and then I'm catching on, you know, midway, and then able to do what I do as a producer.
Yes, Spencer touched on this, but the whole thing with the red case and the red light, but given that you knew you were shooting in black and white, was that a very deliberate thing to draw attention to the fact it was black and white?
No. But you know I love you, so I'll see you at the bar. I wouldn't be that much of a bastard to someone I don't know.
Hi, I just want to say first off that the last images of Megan as the kind of spirit, very striking, very reminiscent of Edward's Plan 9 from Outer Space. Loved that bit. But the question I wanted to ask was the scenes in the forest, some of those are very reminiscent of the classic film Night of the Demon. I wonder if that was actually a deliberate thing.
Yes, absolutely, and well observed as well. A good cinephile eye. I love Night of the Demon. It's one of my favourite horror films, up there with Carnival Souls.
There's a lady somewhere around the middle here. I keep seeing her hand.
Shall I start now with my question?
Go for it.
Yep. So I was just wondering, a cast member who isn't here, the Black Chariot itself, how difficult a member of the cast was that to work with? Or she? She should be a she, shouldn't she?
Yes, she is a she. Poppy is her nickname. And yeah, we all love that car, which we bought as well. In fact, this film sometimes feels like a conspiracy to convince our producer friends to help us get the car as well, which is now a regular member of our cast. It was in the grip of terror as well for Amicus Productions. Which I would also like to point out as well, that Sergei Subotsky, the son of Milton Subotsky from Amicus Productions, is here this evening as well. So thank you for coming, Sergey, and if any of you are interested in Amicus, do speak to him at the bar afterwards. But in any case, yes, she was a happy car, and we want to do more to make her prettier, without making her too pretty, that she's like a regular car from the era. But yes, no, very, very, very good.
Thank you.
I think we're out of Blu-rays, but did anyone have any other questions they would like to ask? Oh, is that it?
I think that's
Very
it.
good, very good. Well, look, we are running quite behind, so I am going to, shall we say, move on with the show. Thank you ever so much. Let's give these guys a massive round of applause, please.